Okay, now we're gonna do a split squat. Okay, yeah, ideally if you had.
Well, we could use this, but.
No, that's too high. Yeah, I don't see an AirX pad, but you.
There's some, it's here.
But you could use a pillow, something to, the AirX pads are those foam pads of a couple, 3 to 4 inches thick. You see them in gyms everywhere. No. No, I don't like it. That's too much of a, the risk reward isn't worth that. Yeah. So you're in a split stance. So split stance is one leg forward, one leg back. You have to be on the ball of your foot unless you have some anatomical freaky deaky thing going on with your foot. There's no way you can do these with your rear heel down. So then you simply lower your, there you go, just like that. Very simple. Some more balance required, a lot more hip and adductors because she's got to use her adductors to stabilize her upper leg. You know, your knees should be tracking over the middle of your foot, just like that. You can add load, obviously. When you're proficient at that and you have good balance, then you can do a goblet hold, or you could hold weights in each hand. So imagine, just do one more. Imagine she had that AirX pad, so it would be protecting her knee, but it's also giving her a depth gauge as to how far she, because everybody's going, you know, they'll be doing, oh yeah, I really get a good range of motion here. Not so much. So it serves two purposes. You know, you feel safe because you're not going to destroy your knee on the floor, and you're also getting good range of motion. So what's next? Is that next? Okay, so the next one, I realize, and I'll talk about the TRX. The TRX is great, okay? I saw one at a national conference in DC 25 years ago, and I said, that's genius, because it fits in a little mesh bag. I've literally taken mine all over the world. I've done workouts in Barcelona on a playground. In Madrid, I did it. I found a light pole and I attached it, and they knew I was a crazy American. But it's a great tool, very versatile, will go everywhere, and all kinds of exercises. So this is one of the most fundamental. This is just called a TRX bodyweight row. So her body's a plank, okay? Straight line from her ears to her shoulders to her hip to her knee to her ankle. So drop your butt a little bit at the bottom, even more. That's not what we want, okay? So body's a straight line. So again, there's some core activity here because you've got a brace. It's a moving plank. So go ahead. Just like that. The steeper the angle, the harder it is. Okay, because I remember when I first got this, I had some athletes that were going, oh, that's too easy. I was like, yeah, you asked for it. I had one kid had 2 weight vests on and chains. So he probably had about 125 pounds of additional resistance, and he was not saying it was too easy anymore. A quick little tip about grip. So you might want to come up here to see this. So what Carolyn did is what's called a neutral grip. That's what you do. So neutral is the anatomical position. My hands facing each other, okay? So there's other grip variations you can do to add a little variety. You can do supinated, palms up, like this, okay? Or you can do pronated, palms down. Or you can combine, rotational. So there's 4 different hand positions, if my math is right. Just a little variety, a little different feel. One's not better than the other, they're just different, okay? And again, the steeper that angle, the harder it is, and when you get really good, you can put a box down or a bench like this, put your feet up there. When you can do that, you will be both jacked and the strongest person on the team. So, there you go. As far as attaching them, so this is great, but I know everybody doesn't have a power rack in their house. So how do you attach it? So they do have an attachment. It's a little cross. It's a sturdy little piece that will attach to studs or a beam like this or whatever. Basically, the height of the attachment, 7 to 9 feet, okay, is ideal. Because this is adjustable, so I can shorten this or lengthen this. So there's all kinds of play with it. So it's not set at one given length. I use mine outside a lot, as Shelley could attest, and I have a tree that I really like, and that's what we attach it to. So trees, again, it's that height at 7 to 9 feet that works best. Trees, jungle gyms, playgrounds. If you're attaching it in your house, if you had a lower beam than that, you could do that. You could use their attachment thing if you want. I mean, so don't say, oh, I can't. No, there's ways. There's always ways. Yes.
There's door anchors.
There is that as well. The thing I found with that though is doorways frequently are in hallways, and so you don't have a lot of lateral room, but that's a minor detail in the grand scheme of things. Just an FYI. Yeah. No, they have a door attachment. You throw it over the door, you close the door, and that acts, it holds steady, and then you just loop the carabiner on the TRX through the loop on the door thing. So, yeah, there's all kinds of ways to use it. Yeah. So, yeah, make sure your door is sturdy. Yeah. Like, don't, if it's not a major door with a serious door frame, you don't want to be on YouTube for that. Well, look, lady pulls door out of the wall.
Yeah, but to use it, the door anchor, so.
The door, so whichever way the door closes, you're on the other side. So if the door, say this is where the door closes, I wouldn't be on this side of the door, I'd be on this side of the door. So I'm pulling against the door being locked into the frame, okay? But again, make sure it's a sturdy door frame. You don't want to explain that to the family. Okay, so that's the TRX row. Now we're going to do we'll just use a dowel for demonstration purposes, Carolyn. So we're going to do what's called an RDL, a Romanian Dead Lift, a big hip butt exercise. So the key with this is the hip hinge. The hip hinge is a horizontal displacement of the hips as opposed to a squat, which is a vertical displacement. So in other words, if this is my target, I'm moving here. So my hips didn't drop that much, but I'm going back. And that's a good way to start to make sure you get the pattern. So my knees don't 10 degrees bend at the most. I'm not bending my knees, which then leads me to doing a squat. My knees are bent at a soft, safe angle, and then trying to touch behind me. That's the pattern, okay? Because again, this should be big time glute work, okay? So now, go ahead, give us a little demo with the dowel.
What am I doing with
Just hold it like a barbell. Pretend it was a barbell. So pretend it weighs 100 pounds. And now the same, yeah. But don't bend your knees. You're bending your knees too much. There you go. All the way, stand up all the way at the top. There. Come through. What's that?
It's 100 pounds.
It's heavy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the closer the bar is to your body, the better. So I don't know, you probably haven't seen, but world-class lifters will put both chalk on their thighs and their shins, and also sometimes wear pads, because the further the bar is from your The fulcrum is your hip, your pelvis. And the further the bar is from that fulcrum, that's actually a multiple of that 100 pounds. The further that bar gets out, okay? So you want to keep that bar, and they've shown that the best lifters in the world, their bar path is almost perfectly vertical. They're just like this, okay? Bar's not traveling out here, and it's the same thing for this, for safety reasons as much as anything. Because you get out here, the fulcrum is your low back, and that 100 pounds could become 400 pounds like that. And it's at the end of a long lever with your back in the middle. So don't do that. So those are RDLs. They're great hip exercise, glute exercise, all of the above. Okay, now the alternative would be to do hip bridges in the TRX. So you can come over here, Carolyn. Again, you guys might want to come over here. So you would have to shorten up the TRX some, a little bit, not a lot. Okay, so go ahead and get down on the floor. And we're gonna put your heel in there, and your heel in there.
This gets a little complicated.
I know.
Make sure my heels in.
So you put your heels in the foot straps, and then you're gonna lie down. And now you're gonna do a hip bridge, straight leg hip bridge. So arms at your side, and then just bridge up. So a lot of instability at the distal end, the far end, right? Because their feet aren't anchored to the floor. And then if you're really feeling your oats, now when you bridge up, do a leg curl. Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. If she says it's hard, it's hard.
It's hard.
So could you do, in the absence of having a TRX,
Yeah.
could you do that just by keeping your, I realize you wouldn't be stabilizing.
Right.
But just putting your heels up on the first step of something.
Yeah.
And doing a straight leg
Yeah,
hip bridge
yeah,
from
yeah,
that.
yeah. Or a Swiss ball. That would add instability. So you could do it on a Swiss ball.
And my Swiss ball's a lot
Yeah,
higher.
yeah. Well, it depends. I mean, she's got all different sizes here. So I think I saw, I mean,
Used to do them on these big gray balls
yeah.
when we were doing this.
And if you want a killer version, okay, lie down. She's gonna be cursing me. Yeah.
I don't want to kill her.
So you could do just, so put your heel, dig your heels in. So there, and there, and there. Okay. So it's first just do a hip bridge. Okay. That's challenging enough, right? Now do a leg curl. Extend your legs, keep your hips up, pull back in. Hello, hamstrings and glutes. Okay. This is big time. Posterior chain, back here. Okay. And there are, I remember telling my high school athletes, and I got one, he's now 41, wow, I trained him when he was 14. I used to tell him, Steve, there are muscles for show and muscles for go. And the muscles for go, you can't see them, they're on the back side. They're your hamstrings, your glutes, your low back, your back. Those are the muscles. You will not see good athletes, power athletes especially, without well-developed butt muscles. You just won't. And there's a syndrome, especially against or within, what, you know where I'm going with this, white, middle-aged, and older men called NBS. Anybody know what that is?
No butt syndrome.
No butt syndrome. So you know what I'm talking about. You might be married to one. It's the truth. I mean, it is. They just have no asses, okay? Like they wear those khaki pants and they just drop straight down. I'm not lying. I'm not lying, okay? So that is a and we're the only primates that have butts, right? Look at a gorilla. As big as a gorilla is, they have no ass. And why is that? Because we walk upright, we're bipedal. And these muscles propel gait. So you would think that if you don't have those at a certain age when you might need them the most, that could be a problem. That could affect your gait. That could affect how ambulatory you are. That could affect how well you get up and down stairs. So all these exercises are not only about what we're doing out on the water, they're about life, okay? And especially at our age. You have to be strong. More and more evidence is coming out about how powerful being strong is in terms of your health, your longevity. There's a concept called health span. I don't know if any of you know who Dr. Peter Attia is. He wrote a book called Longevity, the Art and Science, Outlive, the Art and Science of Longevity. He's an MD, and the book is really a game plan for not only living longer, but living well. You know, I'm not sure what value there is in living to be 90 if the last 20 years are spent virtually in a chair or whatever. That's just my personal opinion. You might have a different opinion. We have the capacity now with medical technology to keep people alive for a long time. But what is the quality of that life? And we are the captains of that ship, okay? Doctors, we have a daughter-in-law who's a doctor. They know diddly about exercise or nutrition. So do not listen to them unless they're specially trained, you know, have board certified in a certain area like holistic medicine or integrated medicine or something. They don't know shit, sorry, about those two topics. They get no education in it. But people listen to them like they're God, you know? So that's my little diatribe about that. I'm sorry.
We've got it on tape now.
I got you
Sorry.
Doubled.
Sorry. Hey, it is what it is. Just like NBS. So those are, and then the final exercise.
You got push-ups.
Yeah, so Carolyn, why don't you demo on the box?
One box. Okay.
Yeah, just put your hands on the box. So whenever you elevate your hand with a push-up, you're making it somewhat easier because you're lifting essentially. There you go. That's a very good push-up. Why is that a good push-up? Her body's in good alignment. She's getting good range of motion. All those things. Her hips aren't collapsing. If you get to the floor, a good range of motion gauge is a tennis ball and hitting that tennis ball on every rep. Don't fool yourself. I'd rather you do a full push-up on a box than go down to the floor and it looks like crap and you're doing, you've seen these, right? Wow, I did 50, how was that? No, that's not a push-up, okay? So on the floor, like that, okay? And you notice also that my elbows are in tight to my body. So when people start doing these wide stance push-ups, that is not good for your shoulders because the external rotation, the elevation is, and you're cheating because you're shortening the range of motion. So I'm not a fan of those. I like my clients' their upper arms to be no more than 45 degrees relative to their torso. Even when you're doing them here, same deal, okay? See how close my elbows are to my body? I'm just telling you, it's gonna be better for your shoulder health. So those are push-ups. And then the last but not least, do we have one here? An ab roller? Yeah, well, you guys know what they are. The wheel of death. They have little handles on them, little wheels. Yeah, that is a very advanced core exercise, okay? And you want to start out small. Trust me on this. This could be another dental office visit if you don't, okay? Because you want to be, it's not just the getting out, you got to get back, okay? And they don't have a motor on them. So you got to be able to come back, and it's an active pulling back. It won't come back by itself. So those, you know, you can get them for 15 bucks at Dick's. I mean, they don't cost that. But again, you got to be ready for it. That if you've done the other core exercises and the other programs, and you feel that you need something more challenging, then have at it.
I found it.
Oh, okay.
There she has it.
So are these workouts progressively more
Yes,
difficult?
yes,
1, 2, 3 is
yes,
the one.
yes.
That's what I felt.
Yes. So from top to bottom, they get harder. Okay. Yes. I was advised that might not be politically correct here, but it was correct. Yes. So there you go. Okay. So this is also for great for shoulder strength and stability because you're supporting a lot of your weight in extension where at the shoulder. So I will warn you now, if you haven't done these before and you do a set, the next day you will think you saw God because you will find you had muscles in your core that you didn't even know existed. And even advanced people, when they do these for the first time or do them for the first time in a while, they will feel it. So that is the most advanced. So regarding your question, you can mix and match. So maybe you're really good at squatting motions, but not so good at pushing and pulling. So you could do an advanced level squatting version and a less advanced pushing and pulling. So they're not glued together, okay? This is just an inventory from which you can pull depending on what your capabilities are. And I'd rather you find success by doing what you're capable of than overstretching. We were in Europe last week, and our guide on the final day said, as he was talking about e-bikes and talking about how people overestimate their capability. They don't understand how fast they are or how quickly they stop, and so they get into trouble. And over in Europe, they smoke and they don't believe in bicycle helmets. So that's, the bicycle helmets thing is a bad. So it's the same thing. Find success, okay, whatever level that is. Nobody's judging, this is your thing, okay? And you want to find success, you don't want to get hurt, and so, choose what is appropriate for you, okay? Any questions?
Are you gonna demo the H on mobility?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, oh, sorry, yeah. Okay, so sorry. We missed that. Toe walk. It was just toe walks and heel weights. Yeah.
Look on him.
With the what?
Look on him.
No, that's on you. I don't know who put that. That was not me. She did that, yeah.
I thought it'd be good.
So I'm a big believer in foot strength. Everything starts at the ground, yet we devote so little attention and time to it. But believe me, every day I do foot exercises because it's critical to gait, to the strength of your gait, and they know that if you get stronger through your feet, your speed improves, your gait improves, all those things. But we don't pay any attention to it. So here are two really easy exercises. The first is toe walks. So you're just walking on the balls of your feet. And this is for distance, so 15, 20 yards or whatever. And the second, which is going to be more challenging for most, are what are called heel walks. So the tendency here will be to bend at the waist to counteract that weight shift. And what you're working on is, these are called your anterior tibialis, the muscles on the outside of your shins. And those muscles are key to decelerating your foot every time your foot strikes the ground. So the stronger those muscles are, the better. And finally, this is a bonus section here. It's not this is it's not on the sheets. Okay. You don't need a fancy mobility stick like this. A 4-foot wooden dowel will work, okay? But the point of the stick or the dowel is it's a driver. A driver, so if I was doing a lunge, I could do, this is an interior driver, a forward driver. I could do a rotational driver. I could put my arms overhead. So that changes the exercise because of the driver, okay? And that's what this is about. This is using, you can do these exercises without a stick, but you won't get the range of motion. So these are called pendulums. So you're just holding it at the ends and you're just driving side to side. Then this is going to have real relevance. Then we're doing side pendulums, both sides. And then for you kayakers out there. Okay? So it's a simple series. It takes 3 minutes. It's great to keep your shoulders mobile and increase your ranges of motion. Because if you can apply force over greater distances, then you're going to be stronger, faster, all that stuff. So that's a bonus section. So you don't need this dowel. I don't know if she had. Yeah. Dowel like that, PVC pipe, whatever. Any questions? Wow, this is the quietest I've ever seen.
One of the best things for this is like following these is making sure you don't get hurt. I mean, that's always the biggest.
The number one rule in strength and conditioning is do no harm. It's like the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm. Because what's the best ability? That's a question, by the way. What's the best ability?
Know your limits.
Availability. So as the coaches will say, the people that are constantly hurt, low back, whatever it might be, that aren't showing up for practice, you guys can do the math, okay? So you should not get hurt doing these programs. It means you probably overreached in terms of what level you're doing, or you did it when you were tired. I mean, there's a number of factors, but use common sense. So there's a concept called technical failure. Technical failure means when my form breaks down. So if I'm doing a series of squats and I get to the 10th one and it's crap, I don't do an 11th one. I'm done. Even if the program called for 12 reps, that's not written in stone, okay? So no one workout will build you, but one workout can destroy you. So use that as your caveat.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So we good? That was fun.